Hi, everybody, and welcome to the LinkedIn Introducer online program. This is week 4, our final week, becoming a LinkedIn Introducer. So this is probably the most important module in the program, where we're going to take you through step by step how the scripting works using LinkedIn, and I'm going to share with you a couple of case studies, and I've got a couple of bonus things to share with you as well on this module that I didn't advertise initially in the program, but I'm going to add a few things as a bonus. So get ready for that. First of all, before we get started, some important information. All rights to the recordings of this program are reserved by myself, Sahel Khan, and the Joint Venture Group. The information provided on this program is for informational purposes only. There are no guarantees that the results you'll get are the same as the results obtained from the program creator. So let's move on. So here's what we've been covering over the last 4 weeks. So week 1, we covered an introduction to joint ventures, basically the foundation of how joint ventures work, partnerships, connections, making introductions, and how that falls into the category of joint ventures. Building your expert credibility, authority, why it's very important to do that if you're going to be a LinkedIn introducer and make introductions via LinkedIn for clients, with decision makers, your profile and your authority, and you need to have a lot of collateral out there as well. So companies will do due diligence on you, and you have to just make sure that you've got a lot of collateral out there for them to make that decision to connect with you. Week 3, we had my colleague Dr. Murray do a training on how to build your LinkedIn profile step by step to attract the right business, especially on the corporate side. So that was a really, really cool module. And then obviously now it's week 4, which is the final week, final module, actually becoming a LinkedIn introducer and how to follow the LinkedIn introducer scripts and process. So let's get started first of all. So what is a LinkedIn introducer? First of all, here's what you're going to be doing as a LinkedIn introducer. You're going to be using your connecting skills to open doors for clients. So this is what clients are looking for. They're looking for people like us to make connections and basically book appointments with decision makers on LinkedIn, because most people still don't know how to use LinkedIn. There's a lot of crap, a lot of rubbish floating around right now with LinkedIn, people doing LinkedIn training, which really is a lot of garbage, to be honest with you. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you today is very stealth, and it's something that no one else is doing on LinkedIn, and I can guarantee you that. A lot of people are doing basically they're doing the shotgun approach. They're just asking you to connect with as many people as you can on LinkedIn and send them basically what is really spammy messages, okay? And then trying to sell them something. You may have come across that. I come across it now every day. LinkedIn is becoming a bit of a spammy place like Facebook, where people will connect with you, and then as soon as you've accepted their connection request, bam, they hit you with a spammy message. A lot of that is happening at the moment on LinkedIn, and what we do is very targeted and it's very stealth, and it's super targeted. Okay, so it's not like what people are doing right now on LinkedIn, and that's by adding as many people as you can, and then just basically you know doing a numbers game. The more connections you make, the more messages you send. Fingers crossed, the more people will be willing to talk to you, so you can sell them your product or service, which is what we don't do here. It's a very clever system we have. We basically just act as the middle person who books appointments and makes introductions for our clients using LinkedIn. Okay, that's why it's easier, because we don't come from a sales approach, and too salesy. So as I'm going to show you actually in this module. So we use LinkedIn to source potential partnerships. That's what we predominantly do. It's in favor of the decision makers that we contact to partner with our client. Okay, so we work for one client, but we introduce them to many decision makers to help them. So working with clients that have a proven sales process, but are struggling to get appointments with potential companies. That's where we come in, because they are struggling to make connections with decision makers on LinkedIn in terms of creating appointments. But that's what we do for them. We create those appointments and those introductions. And also we get, for this service, we get paid a retainer and also a percentage of any sales. That's how it normally works in
Yeah.
the joint venture space. And that's what we normally tend to do,
Very good.
working in the joint venture space. So
Yeah.
that's what we tend to do. In the normal joint venture space, I normally work on a retainer and a percentage of sales. Okay, so that's how it normally works if you be working in that space. But I'm going to take you through it step by step and show you some case studies. So basically, just sending some messages on LinkedIn and then setting up connections for clients. This is something that can be done over a weekend. When I'm doing, for me, to be honest with you, I do this part time and I make six figures very easily from this, because it's not my main income, but it's something that if you wanted to focus on full time, you could do it. And it just takes me a couple of hours to actually set it all up. That's the great beauty of it. You get paid up front, but it just takes you a couple of hours to do it. So as you can see, the process is really, really easy. Okay, so okay, and also there's no selling or managing a relationship. We don't do the sales. We don't sell. We are not, going out there and being salesy and pushing people. And there really is no relationship to manage. We just basically, we basically make a connection with the decision maker, create the introduction, and pass that introduction appointment on to the client, and then they take it from there. They're responsible for closing the sale. That's why you have to work with clients to have a proven sales process, and you've got to know your numbers. You've got to know what their conversion numbers are, and they have to have a proven sales process. If they don't, you're not going to make any money on the back end. So only work with companies that have a proven sales process, that have a sales team. Software companies are really good for that. So they must have a sales team, or they must have a sales process, and they must be their closing ratio must be pretty good, because if we're generating appointments for them and we are also relying on making money on them closing sales, we just got to make sure that they're the right clients. Okay, so just remember those factors, very important. Okay, so here's a couple of case studies I've got. First of all, this case study here, I was approached by a company who created a business program for business owners who wanted to transition the sale of their business. They originally found me on LinkedIn and reached out to me, and they originally asked me if I could connect them with someone at Vistage. Now, Vistage is one of the largest business networking organizations in the world, and they were trying to get a hold of someone at Vistage, but without any luck at all, trying to get through that door, through that front door, and talk to a decision maker to organize a meeting to discuss their licensing proposal. So they came to me and said, look, what can you do for us? Can you connect us with, or introduce us to decision makers, and set up an introduction for us? And I said, yeah. I said, funny you say that, because I have a service that I run. It's my introducer service, and I can do that for you. So they provided me with some names, and I use LinkedIn to find the decision makers and make contact. The great thing with this thing is, guys, is the client brainstorms, number one, the companies for you that they want you to contact, and they'll probably give you a list of companies. And number two, sometimes they'll also give you a list of names that they've tried to reach out to, but they've had no luck. Okay. So I charged them $5,000 up front as a retainer, and 20% on sales. Now, I also gave them a money back guarantee, and I said, look, if I can't make any introductions for you at all, you'll get that $5,000 back. And then I asked them basically, what is one connection worth to you? And one connection to them was worth about $250,000. That was the licensing proposal. That was the value of that proposal if they could get it into Vistage. So if they'll pay me $5,000 and I got them one introduction, that's worth it, right? To spend $5,000 to make $250,000. That's where you've got to look at this, is the potential. If you even make just one appointment or one introduction for that client, what is it worth to them? That's why paying you $5,000 for that is definitely worth it. Okay, so here is what I did. Okay, so this is the script that I used. So I found a contact at Vistage called someone called Taybell Piven, and I sent her this message. This is my opening connecting script. Hi Taybell, I wanted to reach out and connect with you here on LinkedIn as I have a client who is interested in doing business with you. Before I connect you with my client, I wanted to ask if you were open to strategic partnering. So this is something that I always do, and it is basically it's an intrigue opening script because I'm telling them that I have a client who's interested in doing business with them. So it creates intrigue. They want to know who this client is, so they are going to reply to my email. But to make it non-salesy, I also say, look, before I connect you with my client, are you open to strategic partnering? Because this is what I'm doing. I'm saying I'm a joint venture introducer. I'm a strategic partnering expert. This is what I do. I create partnerships for people. So I'm not a salesman. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to sell you. Okay, I just want to create a partnership and connect you with a client of mine and to see where it goes and see if there's any potential to do business together. Right. So I don't do any selling. There's no sales involved whatsoever. The client does the selling. Okay, and closes the sale. So I get a message back, a LinkedIn reply, and Table says, "Hi Sahel, I'd be interested in knowing what you and your client have in mind. Please send me an email at table.piven@vistage.com so we can schedule a call." So straight away off the bat, I have an appointment already set up now. I have an introduction approved and set up. So the $5,000 that I've been paid, I've done my job, right? So this is how easy this is, guys. This is how amazing being an introducer on LinkedIn is, and how you can make these introductions for companies. If they give you a list of 50 or 100 or 150, you get one or two or three, you're still getting paid, okay, because you fulfilled your task, okay. If you don't get any back, you don't make any introductions, you obviously return the money, and it's a win-win for everyone. It's no risk up front. So this was Vistage, okay. So this is the appointment I got for them straight off the bat with Vistage, okay, which is what they wanted. They were struggling to do it themselves. Then the client then said, this is great. This is really good. Then they provided me with more names and organizations to contact via LinkedIn, because I always say, look, give me a list, of organizations that you want me to reach out to, and I'll reach out to them. Okay. So using the same opening script, I connected with another decision maker on the list and managed to secure more calls and meetings for the client. The client basically reused the Vistage proposal and is tailoring this for the new connections and introductions I helped create. So the same Vistage proposal, she's also sending that across to the other introductions that I make. Now the Vistage client, where we are right now, is now in stage 2, and they're close to closing a deal which is going to be worth about $250,000, which is what their proposal is to them, and my cut on that is 20%. So if they close that deal, I'll get $50,000 of that $250,000. So see, it's how lucrative this really is. Okay. So here's another one. This was a company called EOS Worldwide. That was another decision maker on their list. And again, I used the same script. Hi Don, I wanted to reach out and connect with you here on LinkedIn as I have a client who's interested in doing business with you. Before I connect you with my client, I wanted to ask if you're open to strategic partnering. Again, same opening script I've used, right? This is not salesy bullshit BS, which what a lot of other people are doing. It's not a switch and bait. It's genuine. I have a client that's interested in doing business with them, right? And it's my job to go out and find to make the introductions for them and connect them with decision makers. So what I did was then as I connected with Don at EOS Worldwide. He accepted my connection request, and I sent him another message, and I said, "Hi Don, thank you for accepting my request. I really appreciate that. My client has created a program for business owners to help them exit their business easily and profitably. I'm looking to reach out to someone at EOS Worldwide you can talk to regarding a licensing deal. Would you be the right person to discuss a strategic partnership with?" Now, the reason I'd sent this script is because Don accepted my connection request, but didn't answer my initial first opening script. So if that person doesn't answer the initial opening request, but they become a connection, they're obviously interested. So I had to send another second message to reinforce and actually tell them more about what it was I was trying to put across. So now I have to put in that message. My client has a program. This is what they're interested in doing. I'm looking to reach out to someone at EOS so she can talk to regarding a licensing deal. This is an expansion of the original script, which was just intrigue, right? But I had to now provide more information, but keep it still short and sweet, and not reveal too much to get Don to reply to me. And Don did. And Don replied to me and said, no, you would need to talk with Kelly Knight. Please know that we have multiple regular invitations to engage in strategic partnerships. We say no to 99.9% because we believe in the power and priority focus. Now he's come back and said to me, well, there's a 1% chance that that we may be interested, and there's 99.9% that we won't. So I say, thanks, Don. What's the email for Kelly? And he says her email is knight@eosworldwide.com. So now he's given me basically he's given me the email for Kelly Knight. Hang on, I'm just checking something for a second there. Yeah, he's given me the email for Kelly Knight now, which is the contact that I need to contact to book an appointment for my client, right? And he says it's a 1% chance, right? So that's what, and because he's the owner at this company, EOS Worldwide. I contact Kelly Knight, and I email Kelly Knight, and I CC my client in, Jane, and then I introduced Jane to Kelly Knight, and Kelly Knight's reply is, thanks, Jane. Let's do January the 12th, January the 10th at 12 noon EST. Will you be sending a calendar invite? Happy holidays. So this now, as you can see from this one here, this is a confirmed appointment, which I CC'd also my client in, Jane, and she could see that, hey, this is really good. So hell, actually he's doing his stuff and it's working and he's getting us results. So this is really cool. Now I've got them a couple of good companies and decision makers, and I put those appointments for them, and I fulfilled my my retainer. Okay, my initial task was to get them appointments, and I've done that. So here's another case study, a recent case study. I was approached by a facilities management software company looking to connect with decision makers in the financial services sector. Okay. They originally asked me if I could connect with someone at BDO. BDO is a big financial organization, and similar organizations to organize an appointment to discuss a trial of their software. I said, okay, fine, look, something I can do. Send me a list of companies, and let's get started. So I used LinkedIn to find the decision maker and make contact. And for this, again, I charged $5,000 up front and a 20% on any sales that came from the introduction I made for them. So here is the decision maker on LinkedIn that I found for them, Zeb Egbert, Director of Business Development, Private Equity at BDO. Now, have a look at this and notice he's a second connection of mine. I haven't connected with him yet, but I actually sent him a message because I have LinkedIn Pro, so I can send emails. So I didn't have to connect with this guy initially. I sent him an email first. That's what I first do. I send an email before I made a connection. So I sent him a message using the script. Hi Zeb, I have a client who's interested in doing business with you. Before I connect you with my client, I just wanted to ask if you're open to strategic partnerships. And Zeb comes back and says, Sahel, happy to have a conversation to determine the alignment. Can you please email sam.bade@bdo.com, and she will set up an appointment to discuss further. So again, I CC'd my client in to Sam, and we got an appointment set up for my client to speak to Zeb at BDO. So again, I fulfilled that criteria and that retainer that I was paid for, and I've also told the client to send me a list of further decision makers that they want me to contact for them. So this is how easy this stuff is, guys. It doesn't take you long. You can do it over a whole weekend, and it's no face-to-face. Don't pick up the phone. It's all via LinkedIn messaging. But see how how unique and different my scripts are in terms of how I open up the conversation with decision makers and get introductions and appointments booked for clients. Okay, so this is a really a cool way to do it. Okay, and a non-spammy, salesy way to do this. So going on to getting LinkedIn to introduce clients, very easy. If you just use social media to create intrigue and get potential clients to say yes to hearing more about your LinkedIn introducer service. You can get clients all day for free on LinkedIn. I went on to LinkedIn and put a post up in on my page and in several other groups. I said, if you want to learn how I close corporate deals on LinkedIn, say yes. 76 comments I got from this. So I've got over 30, 40 leads for people who are interested in finding out more about the LinkedIn Introducer service. And you can do this on social media. Now, this is, you might say, oh yes, Sahel, but you're an influencer on social media, so it's easy for you because if you put out a message like that, you'll get hundreds of people interested in your service. True, but here is a example of actually one of my students who took the same script, social media script, and did it himself. And he has a very small following. So he said, look, hi Sahel, the main problem with the LinkedIn Introducer program was finding clients. Oh boy, has that been solved? That first social media post is dynamite. After putting out the post, I have at the moment 15 yeses, 15 leads, which I'm trying to get back to, almost too scared to use it as it being in so many positive reply. We'll keep you posted on how I get on. Thanks for sharing this info. See, so it works. If you go out and do this stuff, it actually works. It's pretty phenomenal how it works. So that's how easy it is to get LinkedIn to introduce clients. I mean, I get people to come to me all day long because yes, people know what I do. So I get clients without doing any outbound marketing. It's all inbound. But sometimes I put up stuff on social media for free to get inbound, to get inbound, to get leads, okay, to generate leads, and that's how you do it, right? So I hope that helps you guys. Okay, so that's a very, very important way to do it. Okay, so there's something called the Dream 100 concept. This is something else that you can do. You can ask the client for their Dream 100 top clients, and this is another way to get them to give you the list of decision makers to go after. Now, the beauty of this program is the client gives you the list of decision makers to go after. You don't have to spend your time going out there and doing hours and hours of research trying to find the ideal decision makers or ideal companies for your client, which is what we do sometimes when we create joint ventures, when we broker JVs. We have to spend a lot of time doing research. This concept, what it does, it allows the client to give you a top 100 list of their dream clients, and they're all on LinkedIn, guys. And as you can see from the scripting, how easy it is to get people to reply to you and say yes, okay, that they're interested. So makes your life easier. There's no research to do on your front. There's no work to do. Let the client do that work, okay? Reinforcing that with the money back guarantee that if you get 0 introductions from the Dream 100 list, from the Dream 100 will also help you close the client. So if you say to the client, okay, now we've got a list of your Dream 100, here's the thing, if I can't get you one single introduction, I'll give you your money back. That's the guarantee that I'll give you, the money back guarantee. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Also, just ask the client, what is one introduction worth to you? That will justify what you charge to make the introduction for them. So if that client turns around and says to you, well, if we an average sale, a contract with a corporation with a Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 to us is worth $50,000. Now, why wouldn't they spend $5,000 to get $50,000? If you could make 5 introductions for them and they close 2, that's $100,000. And they've just paid you $5,000 to get those leads, or to help them close those sales, to get those clients. So it's justified. The figure is always justified because you got to ask them with corporations. It's all a numbers game. You have to let them crunch the numbers to see that it is basically a no-brainer to spend $5,000 to make $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000. Okay, that's primarily how it works. Okay, so here's a bonus. I'm going to show you how I personally use LinkedIn to close high-ticket clients, because a lot of you have requested and asked me, look, one thing we really want to find out from you, Sahel, is how do you use LinkedIn to close high-ticket clients for your consulting, and your training that you do. And my consulting, I mean, I'm nowadays I'm pretty much semi-retired, but when I was doing a lot of the corporate consulting out in the space with Fortune 100, 500 companies, I was predominantly charging $35,000 for a day and $50,000 for 2 days of consulting. Okay, which these corporations would pay. Minimum turnover was a $25 million turnover company upwards. Those were the clients that I was dealing with before I sold my consulting company back in 2017. So this is the step-by-step process of how I was using LinkedIn to close high-ticket clients. So I was using LinkedIn to connect with decision makers in Fortune 500 and 100 companies. What I was doing was I was reaching out to them and offering them a copy of my book for free. Okay, I would send them my book when they replied. Send them a copy of the book, physical copy of the book. Okay, and with the book, I would include in the package an offer of, let's say, for example, a half-day consulting to get my foot in the door, and then from that, I would upsell them to a full-day or 2-day consulting package. And I would obviously, after that, I would follow up to confirm they received the book and also the no risk offer. Now, students on my brokering boot camps get a copy of, get a white label version of my book that they can use, and they also get the script, and they also get the letter that I send to corporations to get my foot in the door, and that's all part of my brokering boot camp package. So if you ever wanted to get hold of that, you'd have to come onto my one of my JV boot camps, my brokering boot camps, one of my joint venture boot camps to get all that to get all that all the scripting and the white label, white label licensed book that you could use to do the same thing. And I'll give you an example of how I was using this. Okay, so here's how it all started. There's a company called Mech Labs. They own marketingsherpa.com, 50 million plus company. I got a message from Joshua Wilson, who was a content writer for Mech Labs, and he said, Sahel, I just finished your book last night. I really enjoyed it. Would you mind if I shared it with one of my co-workers who's in charge of strategic partnerships here at Mech Labs? So this is how it all started. My book went up to the CEO. The CEO contacted me and said, I love your book. What is it that you do? Could you come out and speak to us, or could you come out and help us? And this is where the consulting from the book initially started. I came out to see them. And initially it was 2 days consulting, which I charged $50,000 for, and that was not the first time. They brought me back another 3 times after that for the same consulting gig. So from that, I thought this is interesting. My book, how I can use the book to get into these huge corporations. So here's another example of how I used my book. I sent an email to this company, Jumag Inc., $100 million company, who became one of my clients. I said, hi, Ruben, currently using your platform, which we think is great, and wanted to send you a signed copy of my #1 international best-selling book, Guerrilla Marketing and Joint Ventures. Where would you like it sent? And then he replies, hi, Sahel, thanks for reaching out on this wonderful gift. Please send it to, and it gives me his address. Notice that in my message, I just said to them, I finished it with where would you like it sent, which is what you predominantly do, because you just want them to give you an address to send it to. Okay, so that's how basically I use LinkedIn and how I use the book to get consulting gigs with 8 and 9-figure companies. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed that module, which is the last module, going through the actual process of the LinkedIn Introducer, and a bonus there for you as well. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the chat box. So we'll open up the Q&A. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. Otherwise, we can continue the Q&A in the group once I've uploaded the video tomorrow. If you're watching the recordings of it, I really appreciate you guys going through the program, and I'd love to get your feedback in terms of how you're getting on with implementation as well. So let me know, guys, if you've got any questions for me. Please do put it in the chat box. Any questions? Let's have a look. See if you've got any questions. Let me know, guys, if you've got any questions about the scripts, about LinkedIn, Please do put in the chat box. If you haven't got any questions, then I've probably, hopefully, done my job. But like I say, if you've got questions, if you want to continue, we can, you can put some more questions into the group once I've uploaded the video. So let me know, guys, if you've got any questions. This is the last module for the program, so if this is your opportunity to ask any questions from me about not only today's module but also the whole program. Is there anything that you want more clarification on? Is there anything that you're using that's working that you want to share? Let me know, guys, if you've got any questions. If not, then we'll wrap up the call and I'll get the recordings up tomorrow. No questions at all? Okay, let's see if you've got any questions. Let's see, questions. Okay. Just trying to expand. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I'm just trying to open up my questions. Okay, right, I've got a question now. Just quite a long question, so let's. Okay, here we go. Right, so this is from Lance. Lance says, hey, so if I'm only targeting the blockchain industry on LinkedIn for the introducer service, do I need to target? Do I need to only target? Do I need to only target blockchain people on Facebook? Yes. If you're doing that on in LinkedIn, then yes, you do the same on Facebook. There's a difference between Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you find the decision makers, and Facebook, yes, you will find them, but they have their more personal profile on Facebook. So I would just probably stick to LinkedIn. This is what's called LinkedIn Introducer because LinkedIn is the best platform for this. Can I just pick any business on LinkedIn, on Facebook if they need partnering? Okay, yes. I mean, okay, yes. You can find your clients if you want on Facebook, but the decision makers will always be on LinkedIn. So yes, you could do that if you wanted to. You can actually find clients on Facebook, but you'd want to use LinkedIn just for the decision makers. Tyron says, do you use a questionnaire to onboard potential prospects? So prospects, meaning finding out their Dream 100 sales process. Yes, yeah, I don't primarily use a questionnaire. I actually get on a call. I'll have a strategy call with them. I find the questionnaires are good, but sometimes it's easier for me to get on a call with a client because if a client's paying you $5,000, guys, as a retainer, then you will gather that information when you sign them up on that call. So you've got to have a call with the client, and then you have to mention to the client how the service works, and then you have to ask the client, yes, there is going to be what all I need from you will be a list of decision makers on LinkedIn, preferably your top 100, your Dream 100 client list, and then I can get on from there. So yes, you don't need to send them a questionnaire. You don't need to know too much about lifetime value, etc., because you will ask that question on the actual call in terms of what are they selling, what is their conversion rate from lead to sale, and how are they selling? Are they selling themselves? Do they have a sales team? Lifetime value, you can do that if you wanted to, but for me, it's just that how much is each sale worth to you? If I make you an introduction, and how are you selling and how are you closing, and what is your conversion rate for close? Okay, so you want to know their sales process. So that's just the basic stuff that you already need. So I hope that helps you guys. Me, in terms of retainer, how I price my retainer, for me it's just it's a flat fee. I think because for me, when I started with the first client, it was always a flat fee of $5,000 because I think that's fair. That's fair for me in terms of the minimal hours I spend just on LinkedIn. Because for me, it was part time. You can charge more if you want to. If you're going to go for bigger clients, you charge like I said, you can charge what the worth is. If a client says to you each sale is worth 150,000 and you want to charge them $10,000, you can charge them $10,000. So my return is just really based on me doing this part time. For $5,000, for spending a couple of hours on the weekend sending messages, for me it is what it is, I guess. Yeah. So that's how I was pricing my retainer. No exact science really on that, to be honest with you. So I think that's it. Any more questions, guys? Let me know. If you have any more questions, please put it in the chat box. But yeah, thanks for that. Good questions, those. Good questions. If you've got any more oh, brilliant. Yes, Taran, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Well, guys, so I think that's it. I think that's all the questions we've got. Let's see if we've got any more questions. Oh, here we go. Right, okay. Jim says, you mentioned, Jim says, Facebook, would you set up a separate Facebook page about being interested? You can if you want to, but you don't really need to, guys. The problem is, here's the problem, guys, right? Here's the problem. A lot of you will ask this question: do I need to set up a website? Do I need to set up a Facebook page? That's the problem sometimes. You don't need to do all that fancy stuff, right? You don't need to do all that fancy stuff. Like I say, look what Stuart did. He hasn't even got a website for this. He just put up a post on social media and says, look, would you like to know how to close corporate deals on LinkedIn? Everyone says yes. Then he says, okay, look, I have a service I could do for you, and it's called my LinkedIn Introduce service. That's it. You don't need anything else. You don't need a website. You don't need a fancy anything. The whole point is getting on a call with a client and pitching them and explaining to them how the service works, what the fees are, and the rest of it. So yeah, don't make it complicated, guys. Or the thing is, you'll never get started. And the thing with this is, it is a numbers game if you're working with the Dream 100, but have fun with it. The scripts are phenomenal. When you go to companies like, I don't know, you go to Facebook and you go to, Uber, you go to these massive companies, Amazon, and you try and you use these scripts to have a conversation with a decision maker at these corporations. It's phenomenal. You see the results you get in terms of people will actually come back to you and have a conversation with you. So it's a great way to learn how to be confident in targeting corporations on LinkedIn and actually having conversations with them. So guys, most of all, have fun with it, okay? And then also, second of all, make money with it. It's easy. Do it part-time, do it full-time. It's entirely up to you. It's very easy to do. There's no huge setup costs and startup costs. You don't need your own website. You don't need this. But what you do need is a good LinkedIn profile. So, Dr. Murray's already covered that in week 3, the importance of having a good a structured profile. So go through his training, and that will help you. And that's all you need. You need a good updated LinkedIn profile, and that will help you get those decision makers to contact you. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed the program overall. It's always great doing these things, especially when I'm teaching you stuff that I do myself to make money. Not the same old BS LinkedIn training that's going around. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you guys on my next program, whenever that is, and I'll let you guys know and keep you in touch. So guys, have a great evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and I will speak to you guys soon. So take care. Bye bye.